Out here, the night train does not need rails. It follows an older kind of track, a long ellipse drawn in gravity and patience, a slow orbit around nothing in particular except the habit of going on. The windows hold their squares of lamplight against the dark, and the dark holds the train the way deep water holds a sleeping swimmer, without effort, without asking anything in return. If you press your hand to the glass, the cold there is gentle, no sharper than a winter window at home, and the stars do not flinch when you look at them. Tonight, the train is passing a nebula that blooms once every 100 years. That is what the conductor says, in her low voice, walking the aisle with her lantern dim to the color of honey. No one knows where she learned it. Perhaps she counted. Perhaps she has ridden this orbit long enough to see the bloom twice, and remembers the first one the way you remember a garden from childhood, more by feeling than by shape. Either way, she says it kindly, and the passengers, who are still awake, turn their faces to the windows like plants turning toward a slow morning. The nebula is in no hurry. It opens the way bread rises, the way frost grows across a pane. Motion so patient it looks like stillness until you stop trying to watch it and simply stay. Its outer petals are the color of rose ash and old copper. Deeper in, there is a blue that has no name yet, because no one has ever been close enough, long enough to need one. The train will take most of the night to drift past it, and the nebula will take most of the century to notice the train was ever there. In the observation car, the lamps are turned down to almost nothing, so the glass can fill with sky. A few passengers sit wrapped in the gray wool blankets the railway provides, the ones that smell faintly of cedar. Someone is holding a cup of tea with both hands, not drinking it, just keeping it near, the steam rising in a thin, unhurried ribbon. In the low gravity of the outer cars, the steam climbs slower than it would at home, and it curls, and it takes its time, as if it too had somewhere soft to be and no reason to rush. There is an old astronomer aboard, 3 rows from the window, though she no longer calls herself that. For 40 years she measured the sky. She weighed stars by their wobble, timed the breathing of distant suns, turned light into numbers and numbers into papers with her name printed small at the top. She was good at it, and she is proud of it, in the quiet way you are proud of a long walk after it is over. But tonight she has no instruments with her. Tonight she is only watching, and the sky, unmeasured, is somehow larger. She thinks about distance the way other people think about old friends. The light arriving at her window left the nebula before her grandmother was born. It has been traveling all this time, through nothing, past nothing, steady as a kept promise, just so it could land softly on the eye of someone half asleep on a train. She finds she is not lonely when she thinks of this. The universe writes very few letters, she decides, but it has never once forgotten to send them. Farther down the train, in the sleeping cars, the berths sway by a fraction, a motion smaller than a heartbeat, left over from some gentle correction the engine made an hour ago. The sleepers do not wake. A child in the family carriage has fallen asleep with her forehead against the window, and the nebula's rose light rests on her hair like a hand too kind to land completely. Her mother watches both of them, the child in the cloud of slow fire, and cannot decide which one is more patient and does not need to. The engine itself makes almost no sound out here. There is nothing for sound to push against, so the train hums only to itself, a deep, contented note carried through the floors and the seats and the bones of the people resting in them. It is the sound of something working exactly as hard as it needs to, and not one bit harder. Some passengers say they can feel it in their chest, just below the place where worry usually sits, and that it loosens something there, the way warm water loosens a tight shoulder. Beyond the nebula, the stars wait. They are not waiting for anything in particular. Waiting is simply what they do best, and they have been practicing for longer than anyone can say. The train passes among them at its own pace, neither fast nor slow, because out here those words have come unfastened from their meanings. There is only the going, there is only the long curve of the orbit, returning the train, eventually to wherever it began, which may be nowhere, which may be here. The conductor finishes her walk through the cars. She pauses once at the rear window, looks back at the blooming cloud the way you look back at a house with its lights still on, then turns down the last lamp to honey, then to ember, then to almost nothing at all. The nebula keeps opening, the stars keep their appointments, and the night train drifts on along its slow orbit, holding its small, warm rooms together in the great dark, in no hurry, going nowhere. It has not gently been before, and will gently be again.